So the Printhouse is part of the All In Group, and the All In Group contains 5 companies. One of them is Printhouse, of course, but then we also have My Poster, we have Art Photo Limited, we have Unique, and then we have Kartenliebe. And they all focus on different topics, but also have quite a bit of overlap on the product side, right? So, and we mainly produce for those companies, but also have external companies that produce with us because they don't have the scale for certain products to do it themselves. I spend most of my time actually in e-commerce operations. I worked for Amazon when it was quite early in Germany. We only had 1 site in Germany and 1 in the UK, and then we started off, and I worked there for about 5-6 years, and then I joined Zalando, and I spent almost 10 years there, so I got a very strong e-commerce background, operational, so that's really cool. I can use a lot of that because we're also operating here, we're producing, so there are a lot of similarities, but also it's a very different topic content-wise, so it's a much higher complexity that I find here. With the products, the machines, and bringing everything together at the end in a good timing and a good quality. I mean, we talked a lot about it before I started, right? And I had a very extensive onboarding, and that was amazing. And then when I started off, I basically worked with everybody else. And I started mid-October, and then for the whole Christmas season, I worked on the shop floor with the people. So I basically went to every station and worked there a couple of days, then I switched and worked there a couple of days. So that was the best way to learn how things work. And then after the Q4 season, then I was able to basically onboard into my position with a better understanding of how things work. On one hand, we still have the regional expansion that we can use. We recently started the US, which works quite well. And we still have quite a few countries in Europe left to conquer, so to speak. But also, yeah, new products come up, new technologies come up that allow us to basically change products, have a high variance in the products. So there's a lot to gain, and it's interesting to see and explore what's the best thing for us to move forward with. Usually the production costs and everything that you have here plays a big role in how profitable you can be. And we're controlling that by having smart and lean processes, by applying the right technologies, having a degree of automation that is big enough so it gives you that efficiency, but also small enough to make sure that you're still flexible to react to certain changes like we've seen in Corona and so on, right? And of course, you also have automation technologies, how to explore the market, how to look at technologies, how to evaluate them, and then basically how to onboard them. Also sometimes quite challenging, and that is something that I took from the past and could easily apply here. I mean, of course, there's the product side where I have to rely on the people that are very deep in the topic, and that is the easy part, I would say. And then you look at those investments the same way you look at investments in different technology industries. You look at the cost that you have to pay when you get them in. You see what is the steps that you can automate, and of course, what are the costs that you need to bring up to operate them, and how can you grow with them. I mean, it's also about scalability, which is a big factor for us. We're still growing, and that is a factor that we also look at when we do that. I was quite impressed. I really loved seeing that. Since I don't come from the industry and it's something that I don't have in mind, and then I see how it's amazing what we can do with those products, right? How we can individualize, and that's a main part of our being, so to speak, of our DNA, that we can make individualized products, and how creative our customers can be, and how nice products they can get. Scodix has truly been a great partner. One thing is, of course, how you also together develop and further develop products, right? How you scale up everything. And then, of course, how do you keep the quality and the cost where they should be? We regularly get visits from Scodix. They check in, how are things going? They check in how the technical support works. And once we call them and there are some major issues, they hear right away, they fix it quickly so we can keep on operating, and that's great. Those are the parts that you want to see. You want to see the machine operating at the level you expected it to operate, at the quality you expect it to operate, And then of course you want the support to be at where it needs to be to keep those maintenance and running costs at where you expected them. Scodix has always been a partner that came up and said, hey, we might be able to do these products on these backgrounds and these changes. And that's something amazing where you also see chances, and then you can discuss them internally and see what are the projects that you want to adapt and take over and sell. Absolutely. I mean, also those machines, what they were able to do is with the newest generation, we don't have to use the primed paper anymore, and that limited us in which papers we could use. So now that we have primerless paper and can basically use almost 80% of the paper range that is out there on the market, we can offer more variants to our customers. We can really reduce our costs to a great level, and we can at the same time keep the quality level and the nice products that we delivered before. So that's a great mix for us.